We are going to talk today about what it means to be a strong Black woman in America. So that is the topic for today, ladies. So what do you guys think about the topic before we get started?
I think it's interesting.
Okay.
It's very interesting because I think that most Black women are very strong. And the question is, do we always like to be so strong?
All right. So answer your own question.
I
Do
would
you
say
like to be
absolutely
strong all the
not.
time? Okay.
Absolutely not. I would love someone to share decision making. I would love someone to help pick up the load and take a little bit off my tray, you know?
Mhm.
So, but at the end of the day, if I don't have that, I have to do it myself. So,
So what does it mean to you to be a strong Black woman? What does that look like from
what
your
does
point
that
of
look
view?
like? Taking care of my household, taking care of my kids, making sure everybody's good, getting up for work every day, doing everything with the kids for school, just everything, everyday life that I'm doing. It comes second nature. I'm used to it, so it's not a like it's like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. I've been doing it for so long, so it's not a big deal. But there are times where I'm like, I don't, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, or I don't feel well. And so in those instances, I don't get to say those things. I mean, I could say them, but I still have to do what I have to do. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so in that
Yeah.
aspect, I would love to have somebody that is there to help me out and lessen the load. You know.
Okay. Lauren, what are your takes or your thoughts on being a strong Black woman?
I think for me, the way that it's shown up is performance acceptance. And so I've felt like what it's meant oftentimes than not is performing to receive love, right? I agree with Dika in the sense that sometimes you just got to roll up your sleeves and get it done because not all the time do you have another person who can get it done. Or sometimes the other person you do have is not the most appropriate. Um, I feel like sometimes it means over exerting yourself
Mm-hmm.
and doing things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you guys said. When I think about a strong Black woman, the difference for me is being a strong Black woman, I don't think has much to do about having a partner. Because I have a partner who contributes to everything that I do, but I still feel like I have to always be strong. It feels like you always have to put on like you're okay, even when you're not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not to say that you don't have help. It's just to say that like having kids, for instance, they look up to you, and you want to show them that everything is okay, even when things may not be okay. Um, and you don't want to show them when you're not doing well, or if you're feeling down, or if you're having a bad day. Like you're always expected, or you feel like you have to put on this persona that everything is good when it's not. And that is definitely a difficult weight to carry.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I
So
think
go ahead.
I was gonna say for those times, it's always nice to have a good shower cry.
Yeah.
To get
Yeah.
it out. The kids don't have to see you and be worried about what's going on, but a nice, good shower cry. Get it out
Yeah.
and then come back on again, roll your sleeves up and get back to it.
So my question now with that is, what do you think would happen if you chose to show your emotions without hiding how you're feeling? Like if you want to cry, you cry without feeling like you have to be hidden from the world to be emotional.
You answer that first, Isha.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's hard. That's hard for me. for some reason it feels like when you are a strong Black woman, it's your responsibility to make sure everybody around you is happy and content. And if you show that you're sad or you cry, and then you look at those around you and it makes them sad, then you feel guilty, like because you don't want them to be worried or like, so you, it feels like you have to carry that and hide it from the world to protect the people around you, even though that may not be true. But uh we really don't want to test that theory. We just want to keep going on with doing whatever you have to do to protect the ones that are around you, the ones that you love.
I think the same for me is more of, I don't want my kids to worry.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't let them see me cry. And again, that I think that comes from seeing my mom cry. You know, I don't like to see her cry. It
Mm-hmm.
hurts me to see her cry. And so I don't want to do that to my kids. So I
So
know
I have a
eventually they
follow-up
will.
question. I have
Hmm.
a follow-up question with that.
Hmm.
So we all have strong Black women, mothers, grandmothers in our lives.
Hmm.
So as a child, seeing your mom cry and feeling like you don't want to see her cry, do you feel that when you do see her cry, you try to find ways to stop her from crying
Yes.
so that you feel better?
Yes. 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 I try to do whatever to make her stop crying. And I mean, it hurts me to see her cry, but then it also, depending on what she's crying for, it makes me angry too. And
Mhm.
so, because I feel like that's my mom, I have to protect her. She protected me my whole life, and now I have to
Mhm.
protect her. And so, you know, that it
Yeah.
makes me want to cry, and when I see her cry, and then it makes me angry, depending on what she's crying for.
Yeah.
So,
What about you, Lauren?
So I didn't grow up with a crying mom. Like my mom is not a big crier. I think the way that she expressed the feelings that are typically associated with crying, like by way of anger. And so I think that is my equivalent. Like I don't like to see her angry or in a
Mhm.
position of being uncomfortable, like with people in our personal life or people out in the street. Like I'm very much the roles reverse. You go
Mhm.
from like her being the, lioness and me being the cub to the reverse. And whatever needs to be done, literally, to correct that, I'm with it.
Mhm.
I'm with all of it. And so, yeah, I don't like
Yeah.
to see her anything other than happy.
hmm
Yeah. So who would you say taught you how to be strong as a woman, as a female?
I would say for me, it was my dad. Because I mean, my mom was strong. But my mom was also sensitive. She did everything without complaining. She just did it. And she's still that way to this day. She'll do
Mhm.
whatever to make everybody around her happy. And you don't have to ask her to do it. She just does it because she likes to do it. But I think
Mhm.
that talks with my dad growing up, how he always was like, don't depend on anybody. You have to do things on your own,
Mhm.
and those kind of talks, I think they stick with you. Cause I mean, I definitely have that mentality. Like I don't need anybody. I want somebody, but I don't need anybody to do anything for me. Um,
Mhm.
the things that I can't do, whether it be heavy lifting and this and that, I can always pay somebody to do it. But you know, that's just me being truthful. Like I would like to have somebody that's here and helping me with the things that I can't do on my own, so I don't have to pay for somebody to do these things, and just to again, to lighten the load. So
Yeah. So do
yeah.
you equate lightening a load as the same as being a strong woman? Because you've been married before, you've been in a relationship before, but do you feel like during those times you didn't have to be a strong woman, or do you feel like
No,
it was still.
I still had to be the strong woman. I still was the one doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But there were times where, I could be like, all right, well, I don't feel well, so you're gonna have to do this or whatever. I still had to be the one to delegate,
Hmm.
but I still had to be strong,
Hmm.
so I don't think that I have had a situation where I could um just lay back and let somebody else take control. So,
Hmm.
you know.
Lauren, do you feel like being strong has calmed you, like emotionally, mentally, or physically? Ever?
I think the way that I in the past define strength and being strong has, I think in the past I would say like year and a half, not so much because currently what I understand is that strength is being able to be vulnerable. And that was
Hmm.
a thing that I didn't feel that I could do without being judged. It really mattered to me what other people thought. So saying X, Y, and Z was too much for me, and I would prefer if someone else did it, or no, I can't do that. Even if it came to like me just simply not being able to do it because it was mentally straining, you know,
Hmm.
being able to say that now, I feel like being strong and I don't know, expressing the strength that I have is not harmful. But prior
Hmm.
to about a year and a half ago, when I started really understanding how to say that I was something other than mad, it definitely harmed myself and the
Hmm.
people around me too, because I was doing a lot of things and having regrets for doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. I wouldn't say that I have overcome. I haven't overcome that obstacle, such as yourself. I think that
Lots of counseling and lots of money. Um, just to really be able to say the basic, nah, I ain't gonna be able to do it. That's
yeah,
strength.
yeah,
Because I
and I
can't or
think
simply because I don't want to.
yeah, and I think for the most part, I do speak up. Like if there's something that I don't want to do, I feel tired and things like that. But I think that there's still a lot that I carry on my shoulders and just a lot of weight that I cannot give to other people. So it definitely it is definitely draining. Like when you think about the term like being tired, I'm tired, but like emotionally, like physically, just like tired, but nobody cares. I still have to get up every day. I still have to do all the things that I do. And it's just like, I don't feel like we always get that opportunity to just be, be how we want, when we want. And it's just like, you may have a day or two where you're just like, I'm not doing anything, but eventually you get back up and you jump back in and you're still kind of carrying the weight of your family. Um, and there's no way around that, I don't think sometimes. So it is draining. It can be emotionally and physically draining.
I think that that's something that I struggle with also. And it's not because I can't be vulnerable, but it's because of the reaction that I have received from being
Hmm.
vulnerable. It doesn't feel what it doesn't feel good to get a reaction that is probably not the best. Maybe, just like the first response. Because once I get that type of response from when I'm trying to be vulnerable and express how I feel, and I get a response that I don't like and it hurts me more, you won't get that again.
So what kind of responses have you gotten that just made the situation worse?
Just like I don't want to do it, or like I'm asking for too much, or like, something like that, like a face, as if I'm
Hmm.
asking for something that's too
Yeah.
much to be given. Like that makes me angry. And it's just like, okay, I'll do it myself. And you don't
Mhm.
have to worry about me asking you to do anything again. And I know that that's probably not the best response, but if I don't ask for much, and then when I do
Mhm.
ask, I get that kind of negative reaction, then yeah, I'm not gonna ask you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely see like the vulnerability part. Like when you ask for help and then there's just not help available, or it's just like a half-ass help,
You're right. You're right.
then it makes you feel like, you know what? I'ma just do what I gotta do on my own, and I'm not gonna ask for help, and I'm gonna figure it out one
Right.
way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And that definitely is a mindset that grows with you as you learn that you can't depend on people and you just gotta do it
Yeah.
um, on your own. Got anything you want to add, Lauren?
I think that one of the things that helped me also when it came to being vulnerable and kind of saying like I need help with X, Y, and Z is accepting however it got done. And so sometimes that means creating a list, whether it be mental or on paper, where I specify like what things I don't mind someone else doing, however they get it done, and
Mm-hmm.
handing those things off because there's so many of those things sometimes. And then I can continue to do the things that I feel like have to be done in a certain way. But my list
Mm-hmm.
overall is shorter. I feel like becoming vulnerable has been really helpful to me because I need the help sometimes. And so, yeah.
I think everyone needs help at some point. So that's not something that is out of the norm. Um, but I mean, like I said, when you get used to just doing everything on your own, especially like you said, the things that you sometimes there's things that you can't leave in the hands of other people,
Mm-hmm.
because you know that it's not going to get done or not going to get done properly. And I mean, for me, is little things that, I'm not gonna if somebody is helping me with something, I'm not gonna make a big deal of how it gets done. As long as it's done.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be the way I would have done it or, as perfect as I would have liked, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
if you helping, you helping.
Yeah.
So
So, do you think Black women have the luxury of being weak in America?
I think it depends on how you define weak. Like,
mhm,
I think, to be completely honest, now that I look at all of these things very different, taking on things and doing them because you feel like you don't have anyone else to do it. And like, so we're talking about everywhere. We're talking about home, at
Mm-hmm.
work, in our
Mm-hmm.
friend groups, and all the places. To me, doing stuff just because it's easier for you to get it done instead of asking for help, to me, there's an element of weakness in that. Because I feel like like people who aren't able to advocate for themselves
Mm-hmm.
lack, to me, strength in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that oftentimes we play like this game of like assumption where we just decide whether people can handle things or not. And one of the ways that it was described to me in evaluating my own behaviors is that I have a messianic complex. And right, for me and my faith walk, Jesus is the Messiah, right? And so only he can do everything without much effort perfectly every time. And so I would insert myself and add essentially more value into myself in other people's lives because I thought that's what was needed. And so, like, it was weird. And then, like, you're doing things and then you're regretting them because you simply couldn't ask or didn't ask for help. Sometimes, because it's not about who it comes from. Like, sometimes I need help from my dad, sometimes I need help from my mom. Sometimes the help I need is for people to do their job that we hired them to do. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, not saying or like asserting myself or advocating for my well being, there potentially is some elements of weakness there.
But I like that you said define what weak is not and what it is in your opinion. Because if you think about the term weak, like back in the day, it probably would have been considered like someone who isn't able to do it all. And the reality of it is it does take strength for you to be able to ask for help and assert yourself and make sure you're communicating what it is you need. And that is definitely probably a different way that people think about it when you think about being weak. And being weak is definitely not asking for help. That, like you said, is a strength because it's hard to do. I think the people that may think that getting help is weak are people that are closed-minded and still have that old school thought about a woman being able to do it all, taking care of the kids, taking care of the
Mhm.
house, um, and if you can't do it on your own, then you're not strong. And it's just like that. That's definitely a falsehood and not the right way to think about things. But yeah,
And unhealthy, right? Some of it is
yeah,
like, my gosh, is my strength based on how much abuse or stress I can put on
Right.
myself? Like,
hmm
what? No, then
No.
yeah, no, thank you.
yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the term an angry Black woman, especially like in the workplace setting? Do you feel that being assertive at work as a Black female comes off as being angry?
I think that Black women are definitely passionate. I think that when we have a strong opinion about things, and we might, our mannerisms and facial expressions might make somebody feel like we're angry, but that's not always the case. I can say for me, a lot of times I can't even control what my face is doing, and it's just that I might be passionate about what I'm saying, so I might get a little bit louder or have these facial expressions, but it's not me being angry. It's just me being passionate about what I believe.
Mhm.
Um, I definitely think there are some angry Black women that are just out there. But for myself, I think that most of the majority of Black women are not angry.
Mhm.
They just are passionate, and they express how they feel, whether you like what they're saying or not. Sometimes when I'm speaking, someone may think, "Oh, I'm being rude," or it's something because my tone is a little, or my tone is a little higher. But it's not that. And it's not that I'm yelling or whatever the case may be. It's just that I'm trying to make sure you hear what I'm saying, because I'm serious about what I'm saying.
Do you ever feel at work you're exploited being a strong Black woman,
For me, no.
Lauren?
No, I think that this in the sector that I'm in, I think there are, and so like our audience is aware, it's like medical, non-profit, and so oftentimes people are wearing many hats. So I don't think that I have ever felt that way exclusive to like being Black. I think that in my sector, if you can do many things and many things well, they finna ask you to do them.
Hmm.
So yeah.
All right.
Do you think corporate America respect Black women's leadership? Or do you think that they expect Black women to kind of clean up their mess when things go a little haywire?
Mm, that's an interesting question. I think it's just all dependent on where you're employed, and what these corporate people are used to. Um, I mean, I was in management in my last position, and they loved me. And so it was nothing that, I've never had to really think about. Oh, I had my clinic, I ran my clinic,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't like I was being forced to do certain things or to clean up certain situations. I ran it how I ran it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, and in other corporate places, not that I have experienced it myself, but I've seen how they would like black women to shut up.
Yeah. If you think
Like
about,
be seen and not heard. That's
yeah.
it.
Like if you think about the structure of a lot of companies, like you rarely see black women up top in leadership positions. Like you may have them in certain positions as supervisors, coordinators, and things like that. But when you start getting to levels above that, I don't think that we're represented well in a lot of companies and organizations when it comes to leadership. Like there's a glass ceiling that we're still trying to break through, unfortunately.
We have a corporate American black woman right here, so she could tell us her thoughts.
I think that's a really interesting question. And I feel like there's a lot of factors that come into play that we sometimes don't consider. For example, like oftentimes we say things like, oh, well, we don't see representation here, but then we don't ever go to dig deeper to see, well, we not seeing the representation because no one applied? Are we not seeing it because there are people who are not qualified? And I'm not saying that this is the case across the board, but I've heard this a number of times in my experience in my profession. And then we dig through and it's like, well, dang, ain't nobody even applied for us to even consider them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I wonder if that is because of the many hats that Black women in America sometimes have to wear. Adding one more where you have to now supervise somebody else's dream or organization is not admirable or a thing that people are looking to attain. Many things that come into play that have to be considered before I feel comfortable, from my personal experience, saying that, like, affirming that there's a glass ceiling or there's not lots of representation, because in my experience, there just haven't been many. I think that, do I agree that sometimes you have to kind of like be the person that says, I'm going to give this person a shot in
Mm-hmm.
order to see more representation? Yeah, I think that people should be more open to that. I can say that I've been a person who has been willing to like coach people into more, I don't know, like managerial positions, because we all have to start from somewhere.
Right.
Um, but I feel like the setting that I'm in is a little bit different, that allows for homegrown professional development and upward mobility that you may not see in other places.
I could definitely agree with you with that. I think that in my last position, I could have applied for higher up positions and possibly even gotten them. However, I do not desire these positions.
Do
Huh?
you think that you don't desire those positions because of having to interact with the other people in those positions?
Yes, I don't. I am very introverted, and I sometimes I don't want to socialize, and I know that in those positions, that's what I would be doing all day,
And
meetings
not
all day. So
socializing like we had in our last podcast, code switching, because now
code
you got to
switching
put on a
all
face to
day.
fit in
Yes.
with the people in a higher
And
positions.
that is exhausting, and I don't want
Yeah.
any parts of it. And so even with managing a clinic was a lot, because when other staff fall short, I have to do it, and I'm still expected to do my job too. And there were so many times where I was wearing three hats at one time, and I was exhausted, long hours, being called early in the morning, never feeling like I'm getting enough sleep. I have to have this work phone with me, and just in the middle of anything, someone's calling, and I do not desire that. I desire a nice home and work life separation, so that I can go to work and go home, and don't have to, when I clock out, I don't want to be bothered with what's going on at work.
I think that's interesting though, right? Because it's like, I think that's where that like strong Black woman I, disposition comes in, because it's like, does that really mean, this is what I had to learn, does that really mean I have to do it myself, or do I have to hold people accountable so that they do the work? Because that's what they were hired for. Because I found myself doing many more hours over than 37 and a half that I was getting paid for each week, because I'm like, in my mind, I had convinced myself that I was being held to a different standard than my counterparts that maybe didn't identify as Black because of what society had told me. And then it was, interestingly enough, talking to my dad, he's like, well, look, if you are going to have to do the work, they don't also get to keep their job. So what you need to do is reposition yourself in a place where you are being like stringent on holding people accountable.
So,
Yeah.
and I completely understand. I completely understand where you're coming from. But for me, it wasn't that just people weren't doing their job, because at work I had no problem with delegating tasks. This person is responsible for that, and that made things a lot easier. Because when I first started in the position, I started out doing my job and someone else's job. I had no staff, so I had no choice. And then once I got my staff on board and everybody's trained, and that was no problem. But it's like the stuff that comes up, family things, things with kids, and so it's like I could get a call anytime, 4:30 in the morning. Oh, I'm not gonna make it in. Such and such happened, and I have no choice but to get up and go in and fill in for that. So it was never, for me. It wasn't that the staff just weren't doing their job. It was more or less, when I didn't have staff or when emergencies come up. And, you know, everybody's emergency is not great timing for me because I might have things going on. Like I have my kids here and I have to get them up for school. But now I have to go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. And now I'm like calling around to see who could get them up for school and make sure they out the door. And then 9 times out of 10, I'm in there until 9 p.m. So now they got to come home by themselves. There's nothing cooked like that. I couldn't do it. Like, this is not going to work for me. And so I did it for a long time. I did it for 8 years. But yeah, after a while, I was just like, nope, I'm over this. I need to find something else.
Get somebody else to do it.
Right, right. Get somebody else to do it. Yeah.
Outside of the helping field, do you think that we're represented in corporate America?
So, like, I have examples in my family where, and so each layer, right, or each sector is different, but I have a VP of operations in my family for a very um, uh, significant, important, like well-known company. I have individuals who play as very much side by side at for principals at schools. Like, so I have experience of Black women in particular in those positions, really on both sides of my family and like in my circle as well. I think that I have an aunt who is a director at a school. The like the There's a school in Lehman College. The students' kids go there, kids out, in the community. So yeah, I have people in my family on both sides and different sectors, and I feel like I don't even know, like they're a certain type of person. There's a thing that I feel like we all have in common. And so I feel like that is the type of person who does the thing and strives, and so like we are very much okay, what's next? All of the women that I'm thinking about, myself included, the two of you, it's always like, what's next? I don't know that there are tons of people in the world who feel that way. One of my colleagues at work, and I think it was like one of the most eye-opening things that anyone could have ever said to me is, for me, she said, Loren, always remember, people would prefer to work less than more. And so I think that's just what it is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think many people are out there, raising their hand, like, sign me up to do the more part.
Yeah.
I am one of those people. No, thank you. Give me less. Give me less.
Less is more.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
How can Black women unlearn the guilt part when it comes to prioritizing their well-being and not trying to take on everything?
Counseling. I think that there are a lot of people, especially in our community, like taboo is counseling, but I think that it has helped me and many other people that I am connected to that have received counseling. I think you have to like you said, Isha, unlearn the things that you've been taught. And cognitive restructuring is a legitimate thing. Teaching
Mm-hmm.
yourself how to think different, think opposite of the anxious feelings, of the impulses. Like you really have to work and work and work and work at it. And I think counseling is a good avenue for that. You can't unlearn it by continuing to be in the same
Mm-hmm.
circumstances. Like the best way to not do anything different is to keep doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
The counseling is always a plus. I think that coming out of a marriage, like you hear people say, "Oh, you got to have your own life. You got to have your own life," and you don't really understand how true that is until you're actually in that situation. And I think that going through a divorce and then not having my family here all the time, and then me feeling like, I don't know what to do now.
Mm-hmm.
That was a hard reality for me. And from there, I prioritize myself. I make sure my kids is good, but I'm going to still do the things that I like to do in life. Because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, they're going to all leave me at some point. They're going to move
Mm-hmm.
on and have their own lives. And so I definitely make sure that my hair got to be good, nails got to stay done, go get my toes done, get a massage here and there, buy something that I like, and everything is still good. It's good. They got everything they need, and I'm gonna make sure I have everything I need too, and I don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
And I think that going through a divorce like that was one of the I think that was probably one of the hardest things ever, and it wasn't even the divorce was hard, but I think the splitting of the children, the time with the children, and not having them with me here all the time, that
Mm-hmm.
was hard. And at first it wasn't, because my boys would be going. I still had my daughter, and then when she left for the Navy, and they were going for the summer, it just hit me, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, this house is quiet. And it wasn't like something that just kind of snuck up on me. It was just like random. I just started crying like,
Did
it's
you go
time
in the
for me.
shower?
I didn't have to. No one was here. So it was just random. And I think from there I learned and there's been times where people will say, "Oh, you always out, you don't spend time with your kids." Yes, I do. I'm with my little crumb snatchers every day of the week, Monday through
Do
Friday,
not refer to
sometimes on
them that
weekends too.
way. They are not crumb snatchers.
All
They
the
like
time. They go,
whole
I take them on
sandwiches.
vacations, everything. Let me live my life. If you see me enjoying myself, mind your business. Simple as that. Because I'm going to have my own life. So
So, ladies, I promised that I would monitor the comments. I, for
yes,
some reason, think that Sadiqa has been doing it, which I,
I was trying to look at them. And
yeah.
so, yes. And so, some of the comments, okay, so one is from Boo Blast. Also, keep your kids aware of what's going on with you. That's probably about crying, because they
Mm-hmm.
can console you and your needs. So that, I mean, yes, I can see that too. But again, you don't want to put that burden on your kids to console you.
I tell you, when I cried in front of my kids and they started crying, I'm just like, what the?
Right. And then
You know what's so interesting? Kids are so resilient, though. And so
they
They
I
are.
are.
think that
Yeah.
the other day, I had a moment. It was, ooh. And so I feel like my husband could tell my eyes were welling up. And then my mother-in-law could tell, maybe. And then the kids have 50 million questions. And I'm like, yeah, no. So I went to the bathroom and got myself together. I just wanted them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've cried only, well, I can't say my boys saw me cry, because I cried when my daughter left for the Navy. And so did Khalil. He cried too. And so JJ looked like he didn't know what was going on. He was like, "What is happening?" And I've other than that, I've only cried in front of my daughter, and you guys know her very well. She's a bit awkward. She looked like she didn't know what to do. But that's probably because I never cry in front of them. I think that she would handle it different now because she's a little bit older, but she looked like she was awkward. She didn't know whether to hug me or what. She was just like, oh.
And so do
But
you think that's because like I know I feel like it's something to say for like giving people experiences with things. Maybe if they saw us cry more, they wouldn't be so awkward. But if
yeah,
you think about it, if you never cry, except for like if
right,
somebody passes,
right.
which is like the only time I really saw my mom cry,
Mm-hmm.
in front of us, then maybe if we did it more often, they wouldn't be so awkward.
Yeah.
And not only that, I think when we don't cry, we're teaching them that they shouldn't. Um, so as they get older, are they gonna be the same where they feel like they have to hold it in and can't just let it out when they're feeling frustrated or when they want to cry? Like a lot of people, when you get emotional and you feel like you're gonna cry, like you said, Lauren, you try to leave from around whoever you're around and try to get yourself together. And at that
Yeah.
moment, everybody looking at your eyes like, what are you looking at? Like, go do something. You're trying to make me cry even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I'm curious to know if not crying makes our kids feel like they have to hold it together all the time.
I don't think so because they all cried.
They
My
always
boy,
crying, right?
my
They always crying.
they cry. They cry. The only one who didn't
But will
cry
they cry in
was
front of somebody else? Or is it just in front of you?
no, it's in front of well, maybe not because Khalil used to go in the bathroom and call me crying. So
Yeah.
maybe not, but no, I don't think I think he would cry though in front of anybody.
You think
Um
so? I've never seen your boys cry.
yeah, I mean they big now. They don't really be having many reasons to cry. But JJ, he that's a whole nother I don't know. He has attitude more than crying. But even with Bree, like Bree don't cry much either. But when she does cry, it's something that's really like she's
The
really upset.
straw that broke the camel's back because you're
Right.
trying to be strong
Right.
woman.
Yeah.
Bree, you don't gotta be strong all the time. Cry. Make James
I
feel
don't think she
uncomfortable.
on there.
Crying
Yeah.
is strength, though. Being
It
able
is.
to express the
Yeah.
full span of your emotions is truly
Right.
what strength is. You
Right.
need to be able to show that you're angry, sad, happy, enthusiastic. There's so many emotions. And to me, that is truly what strength is. Vulnerability in all of its forms is beautiful, Isha.
Yeah, I think I'm vulnerable in front of people that I can fully be vulnerable in front of. I don't
Yeah,
think I'm
safety is
vulnerable.
important, right? Like you're not
Yeah.
gonna be outside crying to the corner store man. Like
Yeah.
we're
Right.
not doing that.
All right. All right. I do have another comment. Let me go. From Charlene, she said, reminding yourself that you can't fill others' cup when you don't fill yours. It's okay to say no. Yeah. She also said when you cry in front of people, it's because you feel safe, and that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
But I
true.
feel as I've gotten older, I've gotten better with saying no. And I don't mind telling people
No,
no.
I
It's
never
a
had a problem with
complete
saying no.
Yes,
sentence.
when I was younger, it was more difficult. Like I don't know. And people take advantage of that. But now
Yeah,
it's
I
just
never
like, you
had a
know
problem with
what?
saying no. No.
Yeah.
No, no, I'm not doing it.
In
I'm
all
not
the languages, right? In
in
English,
every lane.
no.
Yep.
In
Yep.
Spanish,
No.
no. No.
No.
In
No.
French,
No. But I
no.
do think to a certain extent to being too strong makes people think that you're always strong. And so that sometimes is like I'm always here for everybody. Nobody here for you for me. But then
Yeah.
again, you never asked for anybody to be
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so
Because sometimes when you ask for help, like it feels like you don't want to be a burden on people,
right,
and then you
right.
don't want people to worry, and then people can't solve your problem, so it's just like, oh, they can't help me.
Yeah, but sometimes it feels good just to get it out. So yeah. Again, it's all about feeling safe because you're not going to share certain things with everybody. So
Yeah.
yep.
But
It's
I
very
definitely enjoyed this conversation. We got three strong Black women, independent mothers, wives, career women, and we gotta coordinate our schedules to the best of our abilities.
Right,
So we will
right.
be live again. But if you subscribe and hit that notification, you'll be alerted to when that is.
Absolutely. Well, it's been real, ladies. Love y'all.
Love
Love
y'all.
you.
All
Bye,
right.
ladies.
Bye.
Bye, audience.
Bye.